after a long Thanksgiving, and I thought that it would be nice if I explained how my Thanksgiving went and my thoughts on Thanksgiving as a whole concept while we cuddled in bed together like this. I'm also going to give you tingles by tapping on my phone touchscreen. I'm trying to whisper and sound affectionate, but I feel like I sound like a 2-pack-a-day smoker. So I'm gonna try and fix that. It could just be how I hear my own voice. I don't know. I hope you like my phone screen tapping, though. It's really funny. I have to explain to people all the time that it's natural for us to hate our own voices because of how our ears are positioned on our body compared to our mouth. If you really think about it, the version of the voice that we hear when we speak is kind of like exclusive to us. And that's not how the rest of the world hears us. It's kind of weird. Because there is a point when I started doing YouTube videos and recording stuff, and I was like, damn, I sound like a nerd. Fuck. And then people kept telling me I had a really good voice, and I went, actually, yeah, my voice is pretty damn good. I'm gonna own that and kind of be a narcissist about it. And look where I am now, cuddling you on Thanksgiving. So, Thanksgiving has always been a weird thing for me because I don't think there's ever been a point in my life where I actually really liked Thanksgiving. It was always kind of that thing where I had to go and talk to family, and I can't really think of a time in my life where I 100% really liked my extended family, at least on my mom's side. So, well, actually, yeah, and my dad's side too. They're all just kind of weird and terrible, and have really bad political opinions, and are kind of racist and stuff. I guess it makes sense they like Thanksgiving a lot, though, because of whatever. Anyways, actually, there's a funny story about that, too. So, I feel like I've heard from a lot of people around my age that, they explain to you what Thanksgiving is kind of, theoretically about when you're, a kid in the public school system. And then years later, maybe you learn, oh, that's actually really wrong and fucked up, kind of, actually. But, looking back on it in elementary school and stuff, I don't think we ever actually, learned what Thanksgiving was about. I just kind of picked that up later on in life. And also, I feel like we talked about Christopher Columbus, but, only a little bit, compared to what most schools do. It's kind of weird. And actually, because my birthday is one day off from Columbus Day, I went, my whole life with people being like, dang, your birthday's after Columbus Day. So when I was a kid, I was like, damn, this Christopher Columbus fellow must be important to have his own day. And then by the time I was in middle school or high school and I got to looking him up, I was like, oh wow, this guy's an asshole. And then I was kind of sad that my birthday was after Columbus Day. Anyways, it's become a running joke with my group of friends. I should keep tapping. It's become a running joke in my group of friends that I eat stuffing out of a Ziploc bag. And I know I say bag weird because of the Wisconsin accent. Hold on, let me say it really close. Bag. 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 Because Wisconsin pronounces things weird. We also, this is something that I get a lot of shit for. In Wisconsin, at least the parts of the state where I'm from, we don't call them drinking fountains or water fountains. We call them bubblers. And it's very common for a lot of us to move away from Wisconsin because who wouldn't want to move away from Wisconsin? And then it'll be like, hey, where's the nearest bubbler? And then the rest of the world looks at us like, what the fuck's a bubbler? It's very interesting. But yeah, it's going back. We kind of did like the Russian doll thing where we went like a story within a story within a story. I'm gonna get us back on track and keep tapping my phone. So it became a kind of a little bit of an inside joke with my group of friends that I eat stuffing out of a Ziploc bag. So one time on Skype, I turned on my webcam, and then I went downstairs to the kitchen. I was home alone at the time, so I didn't like create a scene or anything. Just online I did. And I got some stuffing out of the fridge, and I put it in a Ziploc bag in front of all my friends, and then I ate it out of the bag, like with my hands. It was kind of gross, but also it made people laugh, so it was kind of worth it. And ever since then, I've been known as the guy who eats stuffing out of a Ziploc bag. And I kind of wanted to eat stuffing out of a Ziploc bag for you all for this ASMR, and then I realized that I actually don't have any stuffing. I kind of ate it. Well, the whole family kind of ate it all before Thanksgiving. So, I'm sorry. But to make up for it... Oh shit, it's dark in my room. I'm actually recording this, like, cuddled up in bed, if you don't know. Or if you can't tell. There we go, I found it. I have some Ritz crackers for us to enjoy my cucumbers. Let me just unwrap that there. Oh, I actually think these might be a little stale, so I'm just gonna put these away. Even though it's 11 a.m., I also have like a full can of soda on my nightstand. I'm gonna wash this stale cracker down. Hold on. That is good stuff. Anyways, I guess eating into the microphone was not a good idea, at least with that set of crackers. But also, I guess even, like, if you really think about it, eating crackers when you're cuddling with someone in bed isn't something that regularly happens. So, but yeah, I don't know. I also came prepared with other things. But first, let me tell you, let me get my phone tapping again. Let me tell you about my Thanksgiving. Well, actually, I should explain more about Thanksgiving. So, like, my history with it, that is. So, yeah, like, I kinda realized that, like, Thanksgiving's, like, a really weird holiday to celebrate. Or, like, even kind of a shitty holiday to celebrate, like, for socio-political reasons. It's a pretty fucked up history there. And, I also just didn't like it because it was, like, another excuse I had to see family that I didn't want to talk with because they always low-key kind of didn't like me or well, yeah, most of them don't like my sisters either, actually. But also they hate me because I'm, like, I kind of don't go to church and stuff. There's a lot of reasons that they don't like me. Mostly because I'm not shitty like them, but it's fine. It's cool. I just stand there and take it. I'm beyond the point of arguing with them because I know that they're all, like, in their 70s and are gonna die soon anyways. and then I'll have the last laugh. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Anyways, enough of my shitty family aside. So also, like, Thanksgiving always has kind of been like a time that, like, I just think it's kind of a bad time in general, especially for me, because, like, I kind of explained, like, on the 11th of October is my birthday, and then when I was a kid, I always used to look forward to that, you know, because it's my birthday and I get stuff. And then the reality set in that after the 11th, well, I guess there's Halloween, but after Halloween, and all the fun of that is over, is just this, like, whole month of November where, like, that's when school starts to get really serious when you're younger, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, you know where all your classes are, and, like, you know what you're doing in all your classes and stuff, and, like, that's when all the hard stuff starts to happen. And then even when you get older into college, November's when shit really starts to hit the fan and you have no free time. And then, like, the early weeks of December is like, oh god, finals. It's just overall a bad time. And then you have to, like, worry about family and stuff. And, like, halfway through November when you get older and you have to start, like, getting gifts and stuff, you gotta worry about that. Especially because, like, I don't know if, like, this was, like, some weird cosmic joke, but a shit ton of my family members were born in December. So, like, you just, it's a real hit to the checking account when November and December roll around. It's kind of a pain, but it's fine. Those are the family members I love enough to give gifts, and I don't want to be that person who gives them a gift for their birthday and then also doesn't give them a gift for Christmas, because that's shitty. Fuck those people. And then there was a time in middle school where I got mono. I was actually the first person in my class of, like, you know, my age group of people to get mono when we were younger. And then everyone in middle school thought that I was, like, sleeping around or something because they thought I got mono by kissing someone. I actually, like, just kind of got mono. I didn't kiss anyone. I didn't date anyone at the time. And I, like, it's really weird because that was, like, when we were all still young enough that, like, people made fun of me for that. But, like, I feel like if we were 2 years older, people would have been like, dang, Brandon getting some action. It was very weird. Middle school is a weird time. I should start tapping again, I'm sorry. And then, other than getting sick, a few years back, the week leading up to Thanksgiving, I think it might have been the weekend leading up to it, was when I confronted my former best friend about actually being kind of a bad person and, like, manipulating me and another friend into thinking that we were, like, being, like, I don't know, it was weird. He, like, manipulated a bunch of our friend group into thinking that we were all, like, being shitty to each other, or, like, he was kind of, like, talking shit about each of us behind our backs and, like, using that to, like, get things out of people on top of, like, being, like, super hyper racist and sexist and weird Christian man sort of thing. And that was kind of a bummer. So I was like, hey, dude, I don't want to talk to you anymore if you're going to act like this. And then, like, he, like, in that last conversation tried to be really emotionally manipulative and, like, say I was actually the problem. And I remember crying a lot that night. And I even told him, I remember telling him after we had gotten into, like, a heated argument for, like, 2 hours, I remember he said, I love you, Rasen. And I went, I love you, insert name of shitty person here, because I didn't know better at the time. And my heart told me that maybe I should say that, because I didn't want to end on a completely bad note. And then the next day, a mutual friend of ours got in touch with me and was like, yo, damn, dude, this dude's bad news. And then we laid out, like, a bunch of more information that, like, we put together to be like, damn, this guy was playing us from every angle and being kind of a shitty person. We should ditch him forever. And I mean, I kind of already did that because I told him to fuck off in that Skype call, but whatever. And then, 3 years after that, my grandma passed away on my father's side, which was like a complicated thing feelings-wise for me, because she was kind of a she was actually a pretty bad person. She hated a lot of people, and was like really racist, and also like kept trying to get me to rekindle my relationship with my abusive father, who I haven't spoken with in about a decade. Actually, yeah, I think actually literally a decade. More than a decade at this point. And she was like, there was always kind of like an undercurrent of victim blaming to that, and I never really appreciated it. There was also a time, there was a Christmas where she sat us all down, and she said, I don't want any of you kids dating a black person. And we were all like, Grandma, that's really fucked up. And then the parents, like, caught wind of it, and they were like, stop being racist to the grandkids. Even the conservative ones were like, damn, that's too far. And then the next Christmas, one of my cousins showed up with a black girlfriend, and you could tell that Grandma really didn't like it, but she didn't say anything. It was really awkward. My dad's side of the family is just really awkward in general. I don't talk to them much anymore. But yeah. And around the same time that she was sick, actually it was weird because we visited her in the hospital, and like literally just as we got home, my mom got a call from her mom, you know, my grandma on my mother's side. And keep in mind, this is all last year for me. And she said, well, I woke up early this morning, earlier than I usually do, and I've been sitting around at home all day, and like my chest hurts really, really bad. And I don't want to call an ambulance because I don't want to bother anyone. And my mom freaked out and was like, I'm taking you to the hospital right now. My grandma is like that. She like always feels like she's a burden on people, which I feel like explains a lot of my behavior in life, actually. But like, even when she goes to the doctor for like hearing aid stuff, she always like kind of acts like she's wasting the doctor's time, and the doctor has to be like, it's okay, this is my job. They pay me to do this, and also I want to help you hear better. And then she gets reassured, and then she's fine. But yeah, my grandmother is sweet. She's wonderful. But she had to go to the hospital too, and I was in this weird state where both of my grandmothers were in the hospital. It was really weird, and I was like, damn, are both of my grandmothers going to die in the same month? And then my grandmother on my mother's side, it ended up just being like an old person thing where like fluid gets all like weird in your chest, and they were able to, you know, help her out with that, and she went back home. But my grandmother on my dad's side, they thought was fine, and then she went to this assisted living facility, and then like immediately got worse, and she passed away. And it was really sad because the last time I saw her was like, I think actually hours before she passed away, and me and my older sister walked into the room, and she didn't even recognize who I was. Like, she knew everyone else, but she looked at me, and she was just like, "Who are you?" And it was really, really painful because even though I wasn't close to her and she honestly kind of hated me, it was just like all of these emotions came rushing into my soul at once, and I was like, this is what happens when the human body is at the end of its rope, and like your brain functions start to go, and like even the things that are like, I guess, so familiar to you in life just start to fade away, and then you pass on over to whatever the fuck happens when we die. And I remember I like walked out crying because I just couldn't deal with it, and I drove and I drove and I drove for like a couple dozen minutes or so, like half an hour, and I was like, I just need to drive and get my mind off of that, because it was honestly like a soul-draining experience just for my old grandmother to not recognize me. I know this is getting really sad. I'm gonna move on soon, I promise. And I remember I eventually got so tired of crying and driving that I parked in the parking lot of a furniture store. And I just called with one of my close internet friends, and I was like, I need to vent about some fucked up shit right now. And then she reassured me that everything was gonna be okay. And I was okay. But then also later that month after my grandmother passed, or maybe a little bit before, I don't know. This is not a month that I like to think back on, even though it was literally just last year. I got a call from my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, we need to talk. And then she came over, and then we talked, and it turned out that she had been cheating on me, and she realized that she fucked up, and she thought that, like, you know, I deserved to know the truth, and she thought it'd be better if we broke things off. And that was rough because we'd been together for like 4 years at that point. But, you know, I've moved on since then, and I've actually, I feel like in a lot of ways, learned to take care of myself as an individual better, because I don't always have that partner I can rely on to confide all of my innermost thoughts and secrets with, and always, you know, be able to get in touch with and talk about my emotions, or like vent and stuff. And also I learned, you know, to kind of be able to better spread out when I need to talk to people emotionally, and kind of learn that it's okay to get in touch with not just one person, but a variety of your friends who can all give you insight and love and support. And, you know, you don't always need someone you're romantically attached with to help carry that burden with you. And that's been a good positive thing in my life. So, you know, with everything that's a downer, there's an upside. This is really fucked up, but when my grandma, who was kind of racist and terrible, died, I was the one who got her car. So that was kind of an upside in like a really fucked up kind of way. But anyways, I think it's time for us to have our next ASMR activity. I'm turning on my 3DS right now. This might be loud, I'm sorry. I have the SMT4 Apocalypse theme still on. I don't know what I even have on this thing. I haven't opened up my 3DS in a while. Oh, I know what we can do. We can play a little bit of Star Fox 64 3DS. I don't know if y'all ever did that thing when you were a child, where like you would have to go to bed, but you would have a Game Boy under the covers and you'd still like play Pokemon or whatever. But I used to do that when I was a kid, and I thought I was so sneaky. And then my mom would like open the door and like check if I was sleeping, and I would pretend to sleep and like hide the screen so she couldn't see the light. And then I learned years later that she knew I was playing Pokemon, but she was a strong believer that if it wasn't too bad, that like a little bit of rebellion or like breaking the rules was okay. And to make me feel like I still had like a sense of control in my life and power, she would like let me get away with tiny things like that. And she always knew that I would stay up late to play Pokemon. But as long as I wasn't like crabby and stuff in the morning, she would let it slide. So that kind of undermined how cool that memory is for me, looking back on it. Because I was like, damn, I wasn't getting away with nothing. Can I skip this cutscene? Yes, I can. I just have to hold the start button. Oh, we're on mission 2. I didn't know I had a save game of this that was currently active. I'm shooting all of the mecha enemies in Sector Y, I think this is. Anyways, as you hear the sounds of Star Fox and me button mashing, I'm gonna tell you about my Thanksgiving this year, because I feel like it's me. This is the first November I've had in a long time that's actually been pretty good, and I think I can reclaim November as like a thing that I used to always think of as a negative thing, and a time of the year that I dreaded, and like a time of the year where bad shit always happened, to something that's a lot more positive. Because my sister just gave birth to her 3rd child, so I'm an uncle again for the 3rd time, and he's adorable, and yeah, and you know, that's a cool thing. And also otherwise, my life is pretty good right now, to be honest with you. I'm pretty happy, all things considered, at the moment. Not a lot is going wrong, which is a good sign, usually. I think if you get like 200 points in this level, you get to continue on the hard path, but because I'm also recording an ASMR video, that's not going too great. I'm only at 44, and I think I'm like almost done. So that's kind of fucked. Oh no, Slippy's in trouble. I'm gonna save Slippy. I think I saved him. Anyways, and then they actually, didn't exactly know when the baby was gonna be born, but the rest of the family wanted to be there to support them. And they all left, and are with my sister and the baby and my brother-in-law right now. But I couldn't take off of work, really, and I need to save up personal time for a surgery I'm having on my weird, kind of crippled leg thing this summer. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. But that means I was the only representative from our family, or our side of the family, going to my mother's. It's a boss fight, by the way. My mother's Thanksgiving this year. And I was kind of worried about that, because I was like, oh god, I have to like actually interact with the extended family. And it was fine, mostly. And then like one of my like everything was all fun and games until my Republican uncle started making fun of liberals, and then everyone started arguing about Trump on that table. And then at the same time, my younger cousin, who's kind of become, like she's high school aged, was being like a teenage brat about something, and like started like yelling at her mom and it was really loud and terrible. And then also at the same time, a kid who was playing in the living room hit her head on something because she was doing like gymnastics in a confined living room space. And I'm fighting the boss by the... Oh, I said that already. I'm sorry for repeating myself. And it was just really loud, and like everyone was screaming or yelling or panicked. And I was like, damn, I think I'm just gonna walk out. So I grabbed the remainder of the food I brought, and I hugged Grandma, and I was like, bye, Grandma. And she's like, leaving? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, yeah, I don't blame you. Have a good rest of the night, kid. And I went, thanks, Grandma. Then I silently walked the fuck out of that house and back to my car. And now I'm here recording an ASMR video for you all. But overall, it was a pretty good Thanksgiving. I've had other family get-togethers where, like, as soon as we walk in the door, someone brings up George Bush or something, and then it's just a rough time. And, like, everyone argues. It's weird, because my family is, like, pretty hyper-split down the political spectrum. I honestly don't get how, like, we have Christmas or Thanksgiving every year still, because it always just ends with people screaming at each other. It's really fucking weird. But whatever. You know, I guess that just be how it is. And stuff. I always forgot that this boss is really, it's a long fight just because it flies around everywhere. It's kind of a pain. Oh damn, he broke off my left wing. That's not the best I got, you fool. Shut up, Falco. I forgot bombs are kind of useless in this fight, I feel. Oh no, never mind, I just was aiming bad. I blew him up. Well, that's enough 3DS for now. Oh, geez, whoops, I'm so sorry. That probably spooked you. I bumped the volume slider on my 3DS. So yeah, that's Thanksgiving and stuff. I hope you fall asleep to this. Let me just tuck you in. We're both under the covers together now. I hope you like it. Let's get some sleep. Good night.